Okay. Good morning, ladies. Hello, everyone out there watching the High Vibe Tribe monthly book reviews, where I bring together some of the expert members of the Mind, Body, Spirit Network, who are typically highly gifted healers in one way or another. And I love for them to share some books that they feel are really transformational and providing significant movement in your life, or aha moments or shifts in one way or another. So we get together once a month to share some of our favorite books. And first up today, and again, my name is Liz Garcia, and this is the High Vibe Tribe monthly book review for the mindbodyspiritnetwork.com. And Linda Armstrong, you're up first. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself quickly, and then share the book that you want us all to jump on board with and give a try.
Okay, so I'm Linda Armstrong. I'm from New York, and I'm an energy healer, spiritual awakening coach, and what I really work to do is to clear subconscious programming that is running, that is preventing you from actually stepping into your full potential to create a life you love, living your purpose and just really loving your life. And that's my website, lovemylife.coach. So it's all about this energy of love. And so the book that I have today is, I'm going to see if you can see it. Liz, tell me if you can.
Yeah, we can.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's The Secret of Attracting Money by Dr. Joe Vitale. And I'm still reading it. I haven't finished it yet. But I'm loving a lot of his work that I may have known about him forever, but when the time is right, the time is right. So now I've been reading and doing a bunch of things that he's done. And what I love about this book is that he really blends the spiritual with the material. I mean, we are spirit living in a body in the material world, right? And there's a lot of subconscious programming that goes on around money that you've picked up through your life and past lives that is in the way. And in this book, he does a lot to point out these beliefs, the truth behind how they come about and how you've absorbed them, how to release them. And it's all about marketing with this spiritual side of it. So I didn't even get into all of that part yet, but he was homeless and now he's not in a big way, not right. So he shares all of what he's used to blend, because really, I've learned this lesson. I've been working on it for a while, but I've really learned this lesson about money lately. And for me, what I've come to understand is that I just have to trust in spirit to guide me it's really allowing law of attraction to take hold, like things I talk about all the time, but just knowing that you have this support and this connection, and that if you allow yourself to be creative, all your solutions come, all your answers come. And I believe this book really helps you to get to that place.
Cool. So interesting that Joe Vitale was homeless. And you'll find out in a minute why I find that interesting. Yeah. So everyone's got money issues. And I was just mentioning earlier, our level of consciousness in the world is not super high, which is fine for an evolving planet. But money is, it's a big issue for so many of us. And there's so much garbage belief around it. I was even talking about that to myself yesterday. It's like, I'm willing to release the negativity in consciousness around money and all this web of stuff that it creates. So thank you for sharing that today. Yes, Linda.
I want to add one little story. Can I add one little story?
Yes.
So, and something he pointed out, and but this is just such an easy, everybody can relate to this. Do you remember growing up and watching Gilligan's Island?
Yes.
And did you love that millionaire, or did you hate his qualities?
Right. I forget. Wasn't he kind of sweet?
No, he was greedy. He was all out for himself.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thurston Howell III.
So they set him apart from everybody else. They were higher, all of these It's subconscious programming. We're like 8 years old, whatever, watching this stuff, soaking it all in. So it's a great example how there's so much that is running in that subconscious mind. And I've been clearing this stuff left and right. But when you can add that with just really trusting in God and the universe, then you really can step forward.
That's such a good point, to watch a show growing up and seeing the subtlety and not realizing it's sinking in. Good point.
Oh, yeah.
That's everywhere on television. Subtle garbage. I mean, it makes a point, but you as a kid, you don't know any better. That's why you should
right. And the point,
Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers when you're a child.
But really, I mean, people point out, you hear all the media, the evil corporate,
right.
I mean, so let's talk about all those wealthy people who are doing great things in the world.
I know. Yeah.
Probably a whole lot more of those, but we don't hear about it because, it's keeping us small.
How else can we capitalize everything that's going on in our world without money? And people that know how to manage it well. It really hits home when Dr. Hawkins talks about, you came into this world to be exceptional at what you do. And he has men come up to ask him questions like, I don't know what to do about being a businessman and spirituality. He's like, we need excellent businessmen, as an example. It's the same thing.
Right.
Don't judge it, or, be the best that you can be at what you came here to be. And
if you lead with your heart, you lead with your heart, you can't go wrong.
Right.
It's love, right?
So we got to learn, that's a lesson to be learned, how to lead with your heart. Holly, you lead with your heart. You got any input you want to add to the money conversation?
Well, this is just really interesting. I think it's really interesting to think about Gilligan's Island, all kinds of, all of the television programming, the subconscious programming. It's just a really interesting thing. And I think all that is very worthwhile to spend time looking at and being with, and where are our hearts coming from.
And not blame yourself for feeling unworthy and not understanding that we took this all in. It's like, oh yeah, I did watch that. I need to let go of that. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And not hate Thurston Howell III. He doesn't know any better either at that generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
All right, cool. Good talk about money. And you'll be very interested to hear it's kind of somewhat interesting. It's kind of synchronicity when we get to my book. We're going to hit Holly's book next. So Holly, you are up, my dear. Tell us a little about yourself, what you do quickly, and then the book. Oh,
first. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First, me. My name is Holly Scalmanini. I am a certified medical intuitive and a licensed acupuncturist. And healing healing can happen when we address all four levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And what I specialize in is helping people understand the emotions and behavioral patterns and past lives and things like that have manifested in their physical body and perhaps is manifesting in a level of disease or illness.
So what's your book today, my dear?
Okay. So my book is Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorajani. And I really love this book. This book is it's essentially Anita Moorajani's story. She talks about essentially that she felt very unable to express herself, unable to be who she truly was, unable to feel comfortable in her own skin. And the way that manifested for her was cancer. And so in the book, she dies. She actually dies of cancer. She's one of the case studies in the world that is someone who actually died of her symptoms of cancer and came back. And within just a few days of her coming back from being clinically dead, she was only clinically dead for a little while, but being back from clinically dead, all of her cancer was gone. And she had a profound experience while she was on the other side, and that's what she talks about in the book. And essentially, her truth is that it's okay to be me. It's okay to be who we are. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be who we are. And I think that in this age of creative self-expression, as we are living in an age where more and more people are expressing themselves creatively, being different from the norm, being sort of living outside the box, not living the 9-to-5 job, not kind of following the sort of lines of how you do things, the script of, you know, buying a home, having children, et cetera, et cetera. It's more of a free-form way of living. I think that this is a really beautiful book and has a wonderful message of essentially relating to health, as far as how that feeling of not feeling worthy in life, not feeling good about yourself, how that manifests physically, and how that sense of self-acceptance, that sense of being okay with ourselves just as we are without having to fix anything or do anything differently, that sense of self-acceptance can be very healing.
That's a cool book to hear about. So
yeah,
she clinically died.
Yeah.
For like a few
do you guys
minutes?
know this book?
What's that?
I can't remember. You guys don't know about this book? You haven't heard of it?
No, I do.
Oh, Liz, you'd love it. It's a lovely read too, because it's so quick. It's just her story. It's essentially like you're having a conversation with her, and her story's so relatable. It's so relatable. So yeah, she actually died.
And she remembers
I don't know for how long she
story of while she was gone.
Profound experience.
Wow.
Yeah, she had a profound experience while she was dead, and she came back, and within a matter of days, all cancer was gone. She was completely healed. I don't want to spoil too much, but
okay, that's fine.
Essentially, yeah, but she had a profound experience on the other side. It's a story of what it's like on the other side, how she felt on the other side, and essentially, I love this. Where does she say? Oh, here it is. I had the choice to come back or not. I chose to return when I realized that heaven is a state, not a place. And I think that's profound. And I see that in my readings, that heaven it's right here. It's not up there. It's not far away. It's right here. It's right here. It's right next to us. It's within us. It's right here. So,
can I add something?
Yeah.
I didn't read it myself, but I want to. I'm going to. My mom read it, and it really helped her to kind of have more of an understanding that there is something more than just this.
Right? And help to heal too. Help to heal from losing your sister, her daughter, right?
Well, I tell you what, yes. And I'm going to suggest after we get off this, I'm going to call her up and tell her, read it again, because I'm sure she'll get more now after my sister passing. She read it before that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that's really neat about this book is that Wayne Dyer, the way that Anita Moorajani connected with Wayne Dyer is this really amazing small world story of just all the right pieces falling into all the right places at all the right times. And so essentially it was Wayne Dyer who got this book published and her story published, and he writes the foreword in the book. But it's just another kind of example of those really beautiful synchronistic things that you know, this was meant to be published, and this story was meant for all of us to hear. So
nice.
Really,
I've noticed
really
with a lot of these life after death experiences, and I've shared the book, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, that there's truth and lightness going on that's super healing, where fear of death, I have no fear of death anymore. I'm like, I am totally becoming the universe after this again, because, you know, that's where I hang. So it just, to read those again and to understand, whether you believe it or not, there's essence coming through that's truth, that is soothing and healing, and you can move forward with not such a cynical point of view necessarily, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of healing going on. So, which brings up my book, which of course, you know, there's a lot of synchronicity going on here today because there's 3 of us for one. And so interesting that somebody called me this week. I have on occasion, I have people call trying to get me to connect them with one of you guys, one of the healers. I'm like, well, why don't you just, you know, go back to their listing page. There's their phone number. They think I'm a scheduling service or something. But the woman that called me ended up connecting with both of you. I'm not going to say her name, right? So Holly doesn't know this, but she wrote back and said, oh, I couldn't connect with Holly right away, so I connected with Linda. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And here we are, the three of us who connected this one. Kind of cool. Anyway, we'll have to share this video with her if you guys are working with her. All right, I'm going to share my book now. So I have to share my screen because I don't have the book on me. I've had it since 2004. 14 years I've had this book, actually the trilogy. Let me just share my screen real quick. It's Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. And what's interesting is Neale Donald Walsch was also homeless when this book came to him. Have you guys read this book before? Conversations with God, either one of you?
I've seen the video. I watched the movie.
Okay,
There's a movie. I watched the movie.
Okay. Linda, have you read any of these?
Yes.
I'm still not seeing it. Okay.
Okay. So I'll repeat it. Conversations with God. This is the first book. He's written tons of books. He's pretty well known. The author is Neale Donald Walsch. And what's interesting about the beginning of the book is he was homeless when these books came to him because he's like fed up with the whole money thing. Funny, we're talking about money. It's a big topic. It was a big issue for him, money and spirituality and putting them together. But how this book came to me was kind of amazing because I had just had a quantum, and I'm not exaggerating, spiritual awakening. And the awakening led me to go to a mental hospital because I couldn't, it was overwhelming. And at the time, it's an awesome story about how I ended up in a mental hospital because I was on Nantucket and there was a blizzard on Nantucket on the day that I had this confrontation of, I'm operating from different awareness, higher awareness and confrontation with lower awareness. So it was scary. And I'm like, oh my God, the energy of spirit, I can't really describe it, but we're not really necessarily have the wiring to handle it. So I had what was called a nervous breakdown after the fact. Like you had a nervous breakdown because I had been running these energies for probably 6 months and then I had a breakdown. So I ended up going to a mental hospital, which is a whole other story. And there was a blizzard on Nantucket and there's an island 30 miles at sea. And Nantucket doesn't have mental health facilities. So you have to go in Massachusetts. If you get admitted for what they think is mental health stuff, you have to go to a mental health hospital for a minimum of 3 days. And I was like, no way. My parents are, like, no way is my daughter going there. And I'm like, no way am I going there, but I had to go. And it turned out to be a huge blessing because of the awareness I had present. I was aware of the presence of healing and divinity in the mental hospital. And I knew I served some sort of purpose because I wasn't, everyone, all the inmates there are like, Liz, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, it's a long story. It's what I'm doing here. But I had, after I got over the fear of being there, because it's nutty energy, it's pretty nutty energy that I came into, and I was already in a heightened state of fear and stuff. So anyway, it turned out to be a blessing. So anyway, I get out of the mental hospital and my nerves are shot because I had a nervous breakdown because I couldn't handle the intensity of the two very high consciousness I was in the presence of and extremely low confrontations with the opposite, which put the two together. It's like intense. No wonder I had a nervous breakdown. So I ended up going to my parents' house because I didn't know I was lost. I was annihilated by this experience, literally, energetically annihilated by it. And I'm going to cry all of a sudden. So no one could help me because I'm like, you can't help me with this. This is not this is kind of psychological, but it's not. It's different. It's something different going on that I'm just happen to be aware of it. And when I opened up to this quantum awakening, I opened up to extrasensory perceptions like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of the clairs, which is different ways of getting information. And I received the information about go by Conversations with God. I don't know where it came from. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I felt the knowingness of it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that book before. Why, why? So I went to a Barnes and Noble. I said, do you have something called Conversations with God? I'm like, I didn't know where it came from. And they're like, yes. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I better buy it. So I bought the book. I start reading the book, and I feel the presence of God, whatever you want to call it, coming from the book. And what I'm feeling is the same presence I felt at the higher levels of consciousness I was experiencing. And at the time, I didn't know what I was, I knew I was in the presence of divinity. And I wouldn't call God an individual at all. I just felt the presence of divinity, and whatever, that's what it felt like. And it's incredibly amazing. But when I started to read the book, after I was annihilated, I needed help, big time. I didn't know how to turn to. The book was talking to me. It's almost weird, except for that the lovingness that's coming through there is the presence of God. Like, thank God. So anyway, people will deny it was God in the book. Well, I can tell you, I have the awareness that it is the presence of divinity and higher consciousness speaking through that book. So that book was a huge healer every time I had a panic attack, because I was having panic attacks because it's like the energies are just like horrendous. The downside of what I was experiencing was horrendous. But I grabbed the book. It was like, whoa, this got me back. Like, okay, I created this. God's telling me you created this. So like, I know I did. I even heard it. You created this. I'm like, okay, I didn't mean to, but it was so super healing. And now, I am aware, just so that you know, when you enter higher states of awareness, it can be a little scary because the synchronicities are so right there. It's a little frightening if you're not aware of what you're coming into. And that's what was present in this book, and everything that was going on around me is like, whoa, okay. So a quantum spiritual awakening, if you're having one, you need help with it. You need someone who's gone through it to know it can be scary. And then the fears that are kind of in mass consciousness will show up, which it's kind of, that's a whole other topic. So Conversations with God was that was my healer, that book. And there's Conversations with God 2 and 3, and it's a trilogy. So the first one is really about you as an individual, in your spirit as an individual. What's that? God's talking to you about what's that about? What are we here for? And the second one is about us as a planet. What's going on as us as a planet. And then the third one is about what are you as a universal being, really? And what was interesting at the time, reading about the second one, about the planet, totally turned me off. Had nothing to do with this planet because of what I've been through. I wanted nothing to do with it. Even though it was non-physical, it's the energies. I felt like I wanted to blame this planet and this consciousness on it's kind of the feeling. So I didn't want to read the second. I read it and I'm like, I don't want to be here. And then when I read the third one about universal, that's where I felt home. And Holly and I, we talked about this before, when we felt, whoa, more expansive. Like, I feel like when I talk about Billy Fingers, that is home to me as a memory. I felt it before. So it's just interesting to read the three, but you don't, I understand there's no reason to disparage our planet whatsoever. That's not a level of consciousness you want to be operating from at all. You want to be loving, but Conversations with God was awesome. And just so you know, when you enter higher states of awareness, God is present everywhere. Not just that book, every book. And when you pick it up, and if you're operating from a higher level, you're gonna feel the message coming from the book as coming from higher source. Just so you know, that's kind of what you can look forward to at higher levels of consciousness. So that's the shares for today. I hope everyone out there watching our monthly book reviews finds these fun and entertaining. I don't know if you girls wanted to chime in, or if you've read it, or you've only just kind of touched on it, right? That's the kind of book that comes to you when it totally came to me when I needed it, for sure. But
I was going to say that I have it. My husband's read them all and shared them with many people.
Yeah.
I just haven't yet been drawn to just sink myself into it. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I read
think,
each of those books more than 12 times because I needed that's what kept me from freaking out and rehashing what I'd been through. I'm like, I gotta go back to, my parents are like, I'd have a breakdown and a panic attack and they don't know how to help me. I'm like, you can't help me. Thank you for trying. So I'd go up to my room, I'd grab the book and I'd like get over the panic attack. So whatever works.
But this is what's great. This is what's great about what you're doing right now, Liz, with these book reviews, because the people who come to this are totally going to be in the vibration of having this make a difference for them if they choose to tap into any of these books.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I know we're the healers. We're providing healing for people. I absolutely am aware of that. I got lots of non-physical friends. I hear it all the time. When I first started getting therapy, everyone I went to see, they're like, Liz, you've got quite the entourage of angels all around you. I'm like, well, friggin' I needed them. you know, my sister is an angel kind of therapy worker as well. And she used to joke like, Liz, you went up against the big guns. I'm like, no kidding. I don't want to use the E word, but yeah, you deal with that lower consciousness. You don't want to meet them. It's kind of funny. Talk about spiritual warrior. Literally. Like Wonder Woman. I'd be like, here comes the darkness. Ah, really? I got to make fun of it anyway. All right, we're going to end this. This is November 2018. High Vibe Tribe book review. And now we're going to do our Thanksgiving Day quotes and toasts. So that's a whole other video. So if you're watching this, you have to Google or go to our website and you'll find the quotes. Because we all want to have something meaningful, hopefully, or funny to say at Thanksgiving. All right, ladies, thank you so much. We'll see you again in December, hopefully.
Yeah.